Hello everybody, here Elohim. I haven't presented myself before, so I think it's a good time to do it. I am Elohim Lefar. I have this accent. I come from Venezuela in South America. Uh, every time that I mention Venezuela to somebody, they understand Minnesota because of my accent. Um, my native language is not English, it's not Spanish either. And I studied marketing in the college. I ended the college in 2011. I specialize in marketing. What else? What else? What else? I am pro diversity. I am pro abortion. I know so many people don't like that. I think that women's rights are the most important thing to fight. I believe in equality. I believe in body positivity. Uh, in the right way. I know the kind of hypocrites that talks about body positivity and just focusing people who looks very fit. I think that's very unhealthy for our community and for our entire society. I grew up with witches and brujas. I don't assume that because of that I am better or smarter or more qualified. Totally the contrary. I think that people made up too much curriculum to justify that kind of things. I think that you can learn witchcraft taking classes and be a very well qualified witch. I really believe that because I had a chance to meet too many people who always keep me very well grounded, and I really appreciate that. Uh, what else? What else? What else? Okay, I arrived in the United States of America in 2015. Having so many years that, has been just 8 years, almost 9, from the moment that I arrived here, and has been so much experience and stuff happening here that for the past years or months, every time that somebody asks me, I literally my brain like, oh, it was 20 or 17, no, 16, no, it was 15, 20, 2 or 15. It's just that it has been a long time. I arrived here because I am exiled legally, properly from my country for not being some kind of lamb because I'm very noisy. And I was an activist. I continue doing activism, but now in a more silent way. When I believe in a cause, I try to focus myself on that without making noise. I don't think that is. I think that people choose to focus too much in how people look at me. They need to look at me doing something, right? Because everything is about perception more than reality, especially in the times of social media. So every time that somebody is doing something good, they need to throw themselves out in social media like, I'm doing something good for the good of the people. I believe in this cause. Helps me on this. They do the whole thing about themselves many times. And I find that very disgusting. I believe that when you are doing something for a good cause, that is not yourself. The main character is not you. But that's my take on that. I was involved with too many causes in my country, and that's the reason why my options were jail for life or go out, and they don't let me go out, so I literally escaped. The next day I was exiled of the country. And anyway, hello haters. Anyway, I have been in the United States for 8 years, and I tried and I quit 3 times because I continue believing on it. Being part of the word that people use is the community, the witchcraft community. I find it not just problematic. I find it superficial, fake, overwhelmingly racist, and from their side of view, from their pop or point of view, they assume that they are not racist, which is so cute that you believe you are not. Red Canary. Oh, it's a red canary, not in my window, in the window of my neighbor. I find, yes, I'm stupid like this all the time, especially in work. You should see me in the office. I distract myself. Oh, he goes. I distract myself with everything. I should be doing this video. No, I should be doing this video. Yes. Maybe in this way people stop inviting me to events. Like 2 invitations in the past week and other 2 weeks ago, like in the same week, and I was like, what is happening? I don't do events for the metaphysical community, witchcraft community, pagan community, Wiccan community, whatever name you want to put in their community. And I tried for 3 reasons, I think. Maybe there are more, but right now in my mind is 3 reasons. I try to be part of the community first because I am an immigrant and I arrived in this country, and the one person that I didn't know here is my husband, nobody else in that moment. I'm telling you 2015, 2016. So I assumed that I could be part of something because I think that like humans, we like to be part of something. We really find that need, not for the validation, but because it's like our inner survival mood, trying to be part of a congregation, a group, a tribe, or something. And I grew up surrounded for many people. I'm not one child. I have many sisters. I lost my older brother when I was really young, and that was a very traumatic experience. And I have many sisters. I have many nephews. Many nephews. I come from this kind of Latin, typical Hispanic family where every time that we have vacations, you need to travel practically around the whole world, or in this case, around the country. But that was my world. To visit your uncles, to visit your aunties, to visit your nephews, to visit your cousins, and so many people. And those travels were like a whole life journey, were exhausting. I remember a moment of my life when I was like, I don't want to travel this year, and my mom and my dad were like, okay, we understand you, but why you live under our roof? And they take me anyway. To be honest, I'm not missing that either. I really don't miss it. But I grew up being part of this kind of family community, and also being part of some kind of witchy community that we had in Venezuela in that moment. In that moment, I'm talking to you from 98 to 2011, approximately, when I finished college, because then I was working and I was doing another career and I was really focused on a lot of stuff. But for a long time, I was part of this metaphysical community, which was integrated for astrologers, people who practice Santeria. That was the moment when Santeria and Yoruba were turning like in the cool thing. Like I see now it's passing a little bit. But if you remember how strong was 2 years ago, I'm telling to you, 2020, 2021, the TikTok witch community, that was, everybody was talking about it. Everybody is growing there, but some people is trying to do a good job in there. All of that thing. That was the Yoruba community in Venezuela in the early 20s. That was like everybody talking, this is now religion, look at this, people is mocking religion because now everybody is integrating in their religion, now everybody is taking initiation. This not was like 10 years ago, that was so difficult, now it's easier for them. And I remember all of these complaints, and I was very young to understand it. But you see, between so many people, always you find some few people who really were doing the job. And if you just focus on who is doing the job and not in the whole, it's great. That was the drama in that moment. Now we have the same drama, but it's online drama. I remember 2003 to 2006, the drama was this very long email list on Yahoo groups. People subscribe, and we send emails full of moon information, planetary stuff, spells, events for ritual astrology, astrological events, these kind of things, everything in these very long emails. And the drama was when you take somebody out of the mailing list that was like, oh, this person, take this person out of the mailing list, and everybody was talking about it via email. Now it's the same but on social media, right? So we just evolved the drama to another level in another place. But humans are like that. Humans are eclectic, diverse, complicated. We're complicated experiments of science and universe. We are too many things at the same time. Anybody here is a saint and anybody here is a total devil. Everybody has a lot of gray areas. I have thousands of gray areas and a very dark side I really enjoy. But when you take this to a religious community, it feels odd, right? Because one thing that I noted years ago, and was one of the main reasons why I quit, because every time is this people asking me the same reasons, why you're not doing more events, why you don't want to do my event. It's not your event, it's events in a general aspect, it's not you. And I can't just like make exceptions. You know, if one of my childs have a toy, every child in the house should have a toy. Everybody should have the same right. And I can just like no favor, give the benefit to one side and ignore the other one. So one of the things was this kind of drama. I was like, I know that for some people can be exciting because they have like 5 years or 8 years or 10 years of practice. So for them, this is like, oh, something exciting is happening. We have a common enemy in the community. We need to destroy this enemy. And for me, it's exhausting because I grew up with that. It was the part of the Yoruba community that I really didn't enjoy was that all the gossip, all the text messages between people talking trash about somebody else. And I was like, I really don't care. I remember one time my mom was, one of the few times that she was involved on this kind of drama, she was telling me something and I was really exhausted. I remember clearly I was coming from the college. I worked in the morning in a call center and I was doing, I don't know how to translate the word to English, but it's something like a master, but it's not a master. It's something that we have in Latin America. When you are licensed on something, it's a 5-year college of college, and I was arriving like after working all the morning, after doing all the day in the college, and the college was in one side of the city, the work was in the other side, my house was in the middle, so I need to use the public transport all day, and I was exhausted. I was arriving at home like at 8-11 p.m. super tired, and my mom was telling me something about my padrino, talking with somebody else, and it was like, you know, this goes beyond my payroll, this goes totally beyond my pay grade. I really don't have, like, nobody paid me enough to care about this. And my mom was like, you don't respond to me like that. And I was like, it's really not important. It's not important. Whatever people is saying to you, if this really don't affect your personal and your individual relationship with your divinity, with your deity, with your pantheon, if this really don't affect it, it's not important. I have been in this community for 8 years, and 6 times that I know probably are more, and I really don't care. At least 6 times people have said he's not really initiated in Yoruba, and I was like, if it makes you happy, believe that. If you feel validated because your lack of self-esteem needs to going around saying that to people, okay by you, great by you, nice with you. I continue doing my stuff. I continue working with my orishas. I continue doing my prayers in Yoruba as should be. I continue doing my rituals. I continue celebrating my stuff, and I continue doing my stuff. And really don't affect me. Maybe affect your mental health, but not mine. And I have been initiated too many times in too many different things. One of the biggest complaints of people is he's doing a lot of stuff that don't have sense, but this should have sense for you. No. I could carry with me 100 initiations. How this affects you or not? And that is one of the things on this kind of community where everybody's trying to shine, because now in this, the perception of the American community, which is entirely different from the Latin American community, is we lack on a very good internet. We don't have so much access to social media like American people. We don't have access to so many books. We don't have Amazon in Venezuela. I think that they have Amazon in Colombia, I'm not really sure, but you don't have it in Venezuela and in many other countries of Latin America. We don't have Amazon, so we don't buy books immediately that arrive 2 days later in your house. We don't do that. We don't have access to these online courses. I remember Twitter in Venezuela was so slow, and we were used to that. And when I arrived in the United States and I just opened my Twitter in a computer in the airport, I was like, whoa, this is so fast. The pages just charge like immediately. That's why American people is like, they live fast, they eat fast, they are running to everywhere, they don't enjoy anything. It's because of that. For us, it's like, okay, I'm charging this, I'm going to upload this tweet. So you just keep post and you go make a tea, go to the restroom, pee, wash your hands, come back, take your cup of tea, sit down in the computer. Is this posting? Oh, this just post now. That's our kind of life. And here people is like, I just take these classes, I take this workshop, I read this book, and sometimes I'm like, you really read all of these books in a year? Because I buy a lot of books, but I'm pretty honest, I don't have the time to read all the books, because many times some books, when I am in half of them, they are just like, okay, this is more of the other crap that somebody else wrote before, so I'm not gonna end this book, and I just put it aside. And sometimes I find very good books that I really want to end. And it's all of this complexity of things in this very vast, big, but at the same time plain community where everybody's like trying to find validation in somebody else because they think that they need it, because they grow up with social media. Everything is about how many friends do you have on Facebook, how many interactions do you have in every post, how many followers do you have on Instagram, how many people watch your videos on TikTok. And where do you find all of this kind of need for validation? They just continue struggling because they want to have that validation. Because sometimes you see them in conversations and these grown-up people, they feel like they need to be validated for younger people. Oh, I'm on TikTok now, and it's like, really nobody cares, nobody asks you, but okay, good for you. And these kind of things always drop into some kind of drama in the community. One of the recent dramas that has not living for, but this kind of, this person is trashing you or something, and I'm like, I really don't care. Caring goes beyond my pay grade, really. But one of the things that I wrote this book, Dream Witchery, I wrote my book. I am very proud of my book. The thing is, when I wrote this book, my whole concept of the book was, like always I do in my books, whether people like them or not, I really don't care, but my concept for my books is always writing things first that I know how to do. I don't just copy paste from Wikipedia like other people. If I practice a ritual, I write the ritual. If I practice this, I put that on the book. If I'm telling you you can burn this herb in the patio and it's not toxic for you, it's because I did it. It's not because I read in another book and I just assume that it's okay, and then I just transplant the information from this garden to the other one. I just put this information from one book to another one. I don't do that because it's immoral, it's unethical, and for me, witchcraft, brujeria, magic, however you want to say it, for me, it's my religion, it's my personal belief, and I'm not gonna put my belief in that way just because you need to print more paper. I'm not gonna do that. And one of the things on this book, Dream Witchery, is I try to put everything from the perception of how we live in South America, how we do things in the indigenous community, how we practice stuff in the magical community in there. Every time that you listen to me using the word stuff, it's because, remember, English is not my first language, it's like my fourth or fifth language, and are many words that I don't know, so my brain is translating, and when I can't find a word for that, if I can't replace it for stuff, I just say stuff. Well, you are smarter than me, I'm pretty sure that you know what I'm trying to say. In any scale of intelligence, you are probably smarter than me, especially in English. So when I was doing this book, I was trying to, I'm gonna be authentic. No, my point was being authentic, like I am the first doing this, because these kind of practices have hundreds of years before me. I just was trying to be the person who curate the information accordingly, because you should stop reading books about ayahuasca and cacao ceremonies from people who never visit Peru or Ecuador or Venezuela or Colombia. You should do that, because these people, I have read those books and you're wasting your money in the worst possible ways, because I had read those books. So when I put this book out, my speech was never, I'm trying to dismiss the experience of other practitioners, but what I'm trying to do is saying, this is how we do it in there. And they totally understand that you do it different, because my personal practice of Yoruba changed a lot from Venezuela to United States. We don't have botanica seed in every corner. In Venezuela, something that I really miss is that when you go to the botanicas, usually we have herbs growing everywhere, and we are surrounded by mountains. We have El Avila, we have La Mariposa, we have all of these very green mountains where people go to collect the herbs in the morning, because they are growing very close to the public transport place. So you just go to collect your herbs, you cook them, you put them in a bag, you take the transport, you arrive in your store, you open your store, you put the herbs in there, you create the blends, and when you are arriving in the store like a customer, you find this very fresh blend of margaritas, sunflowers, some roses, artemisia, all of this super fresh with some water, even with some dust and dirty in the roots, which is like, this is literally taken from the air right now. And here in America, everything's like, this is imported from ELA, from this place, from California, from this other place, from North Carolina, and everything is processed and dried in a little plastic bag. And it's like, it's not the same. But it's an entirely different culture. And when you practice Yoruba, in the Yoruba practice, for me, it's important that everything is super fresh. Like, even if you talk with the vendors in Venezuela, this is from yesterday or this is from today, because this is looking very, very dry, and they say to you, honestly, okay, honestly, this is from yesterday, or honestly, but if you want a fresh blend, wait to tomorrow. Or give me 2-3 hours, my son is coming and he will bring more from the house. And they arrive, and when you touch the air and when you smell the air, you say, these artemisia have like half hour from being collected. It's an entirely different experience. Because we live slowly, and I think that's the reason why we enjoy more life. We are more passionate, how people say, because every time that people talk about Latin, it's like, oh, they are so passionate. No, it's just that we really take the time to enjoy everything that we do. We don't make quickies like you, we not. And in these kind of communities, these kind of things change your perception many times, because these kind of small details change my practice entirely. Because now if I want to have my fresh herbs, I need to grow all my herbs in my patio, in my garden, or in a little pot. So my practice has changed a lot. So probably the person who teaches you whatever thing you practice has changed some little bits. It's very difficult to keep everything 100% traditional in a modern, overly virtual world, right? It's quite difficult. If somebody's doing it rightly and they really believe that it's traditional, that's okay. I just think that it's difficult. I'm not saying impossible. And one of the things that this brings some kind of drama is that a lot of people who, I think that they are struggling with their own belief or perception, I think that many people feel like I'm trying to dismiss their experience, saying, oh, because you don't come from my place, you are not doing any kind of craft. And I literally never say that, and I will never say that. But people who feel that they need to be validated for somebody else, they feel in some way scary. I was talking with my husband the other day, because somebody says to him something about it. Because I know that I never respond to those kind of messages. And my husband say, oh, this person is saying this and this probably is about your book because the timing is like, very adequate. And okay, let me see the post. Don't show me who is, just show me the post. And I see the post and they was like, okay, this person literally feels like needs some kind of external validation about its practice. And when they see that I saying, in Latin America we do this in that way, they immediately feel threatened because, oh, this guy comes from there, so he practices different, the same things that I do, but he comes from there. So they feel like I'm trying to invalidate them, and this brings this kind of simple discourse start bringing a lot of unnecessary drama that we really don't need. But people enjoy the drama. Some people, it's like in advertising, marketing, which is one of my areas, we always have this horrible quote. In every store, somebody's looking for an umbrella in the middle of the drama while it's raining over themselves, and somebody's selling the umbrella. In these kind of things, in witchcraft, somebody is doing the craft, somebody's selling you the books. And sometimes you find few people who are doing both things adequately, and also some people who are trying to do both things and they are doing wrongly, and they're just trying to feel validated for everybody else. And I'm not trying to dismiss the experience of anybody. It's like every time that I say, on witchcraft, and this probably in my brain, I should say in brujeria, in Venezuela, we believe this, because every time that I use the word witchcraft, everybody comes after me like, and they're like, oh, in witchcraft, actually, the British says, I don't care about the British, I'm not British. I mean, but when people feel invalidated, when people feel they are struggling, when people feel threatened in some way, they need to make a point, they need to make a speech. One of the things that I wanted to hear was clarify how boring and nonsense and entirely useless is the drama. But people enjoy drama. I think that people need some kind of action in their lives, because I remember when I was working in this publisher company in Venezuela many years ago, the one with who I published my first book in Spanish in a small release before to put it on Amazon. I'm talking to you 2013. I remember I have some colleagues who were always like struggling with their personal life, and I remember her always trying to make some drama. She was always involved in some kind of gossip, and I feel like she was always like trying to just reflect the situation to avoid to work on her personal life. She was having a terrible partner. She was having a very hard time being pregnant. She had the worst boss ever in the world. Her whole department was like very rude people, and she didn't deserve that, but also she didn't was the best publicist. So every time she was into a gossip, into a drama, every day was like something new to talk about, never about her personal life. And I think that sometimes people just need this kind of drama to feel that they have something to do in the day, something to talk. For one side, I find it very sad, and for the other side, I find that nobody wants to admit that they are struggling with something in their life. Oh, I have a terrible partner. Oh, I'm suffering in my house. Oh, my coworkers are trash. Oh, my boss is the worst. I am very fortunate that my last two bosses, including the actual one, are like the coolest, useful, smarter, nice people in the world. And they really trust me in everything, like, do your thing. And I recognize that sometimes people just need reflect on those kind of things, and that's why they make so much drama. Because if you see the whole witch community in the entire, you see a lot of people struggling because they can't pay their rent, they have a terrible personal life, they are struggling with their partner and these kind of things, and they are just trying to reflect a lot of that. In some way, they are trying to avoid to do that job, and ironically, you see this person is struggling with their love life. Their love life is a disaster, but they are selling you a book on love magic. This person is having a horrible time with their work. They are not selling enough. They have the worst finances. They don't know how to pay the rent, but they are telling you how to make a money spell, and they wrote a whole book about it. And you're like, this is interesting. Uh, how this tastes. I mean, with which kind of bullshit food do you eat this? Because it's like, you know, uh, a lot of people brings this kind of drama, which is necessary in your life. And for the past, I think that 2 months, I have seen a lot of new authors in the community and a couple of new bloggers. Bloggers is bloggers, bloggers. A couple of bloggers. Oh, that's a blower. Now you understand the joke. That's a blower. Okay. Coming back. Bloggers. I have find a couple of bloggers who asked me about certain things, and I was like, yeah, drama is everywhere. You just avoid it. You just focus on you. But they are talking about you. If they think this is about them, you just let them be. Because every time that I wrote something, sometimes some people comes immediately to me, this is about me. No, baby, I have 2 words every day. I have 3 people living downstairs. I interact with a lot of people every day, a lot of customers. I interact with around 100 customers for my 2 jobs every day. Many times I'm just writing things just to take out of my chest, and every time somebody comes like, this is about me, baby. If the shoe fit, that's not on me. If you think it's about you, great. But wow. But if I'm gonna write something to complain about somebody, no, it will be about somebody that is in my social media that probably can see what I'm writing, because that's very stupid. I'm not the smartest person, but I'm not that level of stupid. People forget that I finished college. I did 3 years and a half from a military school, which represents a lot of bullying in my life. I did 2 years of military service. I lost my brother. I grew up with a lot of sisters, so I have been bullied all my life. So I think that I have some kind of, not the best strength, but I think I have certain hard skin to go through. So I'm not the smartest, but I'm not the stupidest. When people come to me with that kind of thing, like, you can judge me for how I talk, because English is not my first language, it's not even the second, it's not even the third. But if I'm going to write or complain about somebody, no, it will be about somebody who is in my socials. And something that happens a lot in social media, especially in this kind of community, so eclectic, is that many times people assume that things are about them, and they make a whole plot about it, like this whole telenovela that you really don't need in your life. This brings me to the next topic that is very popular in the community, and it's pop psychology. I don't like the terminology, but I think it's adequate. One of the biggest complaints of people is that I wrote a lot about pop psychology. That's not my problem. I mean, if you don't like what I post, you don't see it, you don't read it, I don't know why you are in my socials. Anyway, one of the things that I write a lot is because I grew up in a very toxic environment. We lost my brother when I was very young. I was the other man in the house, and I gay. People didn't want to acknowledge the fact that my brother was gay too. They just assumed that he was a man who died. And when that kind of thing happens, people put some kind of perception and struggles over you. Everybody have some kind of expectations about how you grow up. That's the reason why they put me in the military school, because I need to be a man. I was the whole military school just surrounded for practically future drag queens. But anyway, when then I have the money and the resources to promise myself I'm not gonna be a toxic person like them, I started going with my therapist. That were like 9 years. I remember we were 9 because we were always talking about how will be our 10 years anniversary, and that didn't happen because I came to United States. And working with a therapist, many times I was thinking for the first 2-3 years I was in the same position that many people when they go to therapy. I was thinking that I was the problem. I am the problem. I am the toxic person. I am immature. I am fragile. I am vulnerable. I am just a burden for everybody. Everybody have big expectations of me, and I don't fit the expectations of anybody. I am too fat. I am too skinny. I have these horrible skin problems in that moment. People mock me because I am too tall, because I am too skinny, because I look like a zombie. People call me all kind of names because I am very pale, because I look yellow. They call me zombie and other kind of things. I have very big purple circles around my eyes, so people tell me that all the time that I look like a drug addict and so kind of things, and I don't even smoke. And everybody's expecting to me walking this way, talking this way, because you are the man of the house and you have a lot of sisters. You can be, you need to behave in this way, you need to act this way. When you gonna bring a girlfriend to this house? Because it's not like you have a son, two sons, or one son and a daughter. You have a lot of daughters and you have just one son, so he needs to be the man in the house and bring a girlfriend. It's a lot of responsibility. And I was studying a career that everybody hates. And I was spending a lot of money because I was in a private school, which I paid for myself. You're welcome. And everybody was like, you need to do this career. And I feel like that kind of horrible burden in my chest. And I was depressed all the time. I was understanding, oh, that's why. Sorry for this dark joke, but that's why my brother killed himself. Okay, I understand this because all of this. And I was in that position many times, like maybe I just should end with all of this. And that's when I choose go with a therapist. And after some years, I just noted that all of this kind of narcissistic behavior going around, like all these people is making, this is not about your future or how you feel, it's how they present themselves, using you like, like that kind of wife trophy for millionaires. That's you and your family. You need to go to the military school so they can take pictures of you with that pretty nice uniform with a lot of stuff and show those pictures to everybody. I remember one day I was using the gala uniform, which is a very expensive uniform with a lot of pretty cool things with horrible white pants. And that day my dad chose not to look for me in the college, which was like 2 hours from home, and I didn't have money. I called to house, and he was like, "No, you go proud to the house, show yourself to everybody." This was some kind of trap to make me literally walk 2 hours to the house after a 16 hours day in the college, so I could walk for all the streets just showing the uniform. And when I arrived in the house, nobody literally asked me how you feel, how tired you are you hungry, do you want water. The question was, people see you and what they tell, what they ask. And I was like, okay, I'm just some kind of trophy. And I was 14 years old. That was like a shitty day, a very shitty experience, when everybody's in the room, in the table, just making those kind of questions, and you just want to take a shower and going to sleep. I was so tired that I couldn't really eat anything, and I was having a hard time because also I was in the closet, so it was too much. And I noted how everybody was doing this kind of things about themselves, so I started reading books. I was reading about narcissistic behavior, when people just start discovering energetic vampires. Is something that I don't believe. Toxic people, I don't believe in toxic people. I believe in traumatized people who don't take therapy, and traumatized people who don't take therapy are the reason why other traumatized people are going to therapy. Because you choose to be toxic and spread your poison everywhere, or you choose to heal. Healing, sadly, is expensive because therapy is very expensive, especially in the United States. It's super expensive. Anyway, I did all of this work, and I continue having, I'm not going to use the word trauma here, but I continue having some reminiscence of that experience. Many times in the morning, I just wake up like hating the world. Like, I just wake up remembering this from when I was a child, and that moment that when my sister just pushed me in the face in front of everybody because I don't behave how it should be, and I just have these very awful memories, and I just go and throw myself in the computer, write down something about, stay strong, be strong. Life is hard, but you are harder. You will overcome all of this. I'm saying all of this from my personal experience. And yes, you are surrounded for a lot of people who are abusive. They are the wrong people for you, but you will overcome all of this. I'm saying all of this from my experience, and every time that I do it, somebody comes to me like, you with your pop psychology, just throwing tantrums about me. This was a passive aggressive message about me, and I'm like, no, you are like taking too much importance in the conversation to really believe that this is about you. It's not. And one of the things about this is that many times not just me, but other people are trying to take a time to just take things about themselves from their chest, and they don't want to bring any kind of trouble. They don't want to make it too personal. They don't want to say, my sister abused me for so many years, and people literally say, you can complain, you are the man in the house. You can complain, stop crying because you are a man. When people is saying these kind of things about, you will overcome all of this, people comes after you immediately, and it's like, I'm just trying to take out something out of my chest, and they call you some kind of pop psychology master, and that's okay by me. If you want to call me like that, and that works for you, great. I have too much on my plate to really care even about your name. Pop psychology is something that is an awful terminology, but at the same time, many people are discovering very late in their life, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s. One of my friends is in his 56, and he's just discovered that he has a victim of many things for all his life. He just discovered it like recently, and we have been talking about it, and how he's now finally going with the therapist, taking psychology and everything, and taking very strong meds, and noticing how all of these patterns were happening all his life, and he never had any support on that area, and he was feeling like, this is the right thing. No, this is not right. You're a victim, and these people continue abusing you after so many years, and you don't know that. And we need to talk more about these kind of things, because people is discovering that some people, not you, not me, but some people in their life, they are struggling with very shitty stuff, and they are discovering that they are being abused all their lives, and that the whole environment, their parents, their sisters, their brothers, their boss, everybody's telling them to them, you need to behave in this way. You are a woman, you need to have your children before 30s, and you need to be married after 20s, and you need to act in this way, and dress in this way, and make up in this way, and work in this way. And they are like, no, I don't want to have children, or I want to have children, but I want to have them after my 40s. I want to enjoy my young life, and that's okay. It's a lot of people who make everything about themselves, and they just want you to be part of the lamb tribe. You need to be another lamb and behave in this way. And when you use terms like, you are using pop psychology, you are entirely dismissing the experience of people like me and many others. 2 years ago, I posted. I don't remember exactly the post. I remember the answer after the post. I was one of those days when I was having a hard time. I just remember I was having a talk with my husband. I don't remember which was the trigger, but something triggered the conversation. We were talking about when I was physically abused in the military school. Many times this tried to happen over and over when I was serving to the country. And when that happens, I learned to fight in that moment, because I was like, no, I'm not gonna be your thing. No, I'm not. And we were talking about it. I post something like, life is hard, you will overcome all of this. I'm telling you this from my personal experience. I know that you have the strength on you. These kind of things that I like to put outside, because always somebody needs to listen to that. I think that is a very powerful magic on lifting people and make them feel that they are being understood, even through a screen. And somebody came immediately like, you are dismissing people like me who suffer with mental health and depression, and you are just assuming that everything will be okay, and that's not cool. And it was like, okay, yes, you are making all of this about yourself. I'm trying to understand you. If you want to talk privately, we can talk privately, but don't call me out before before call me in. If you want to have a conversation with me about a problem, call me in and we can talk privately and resolve the problem. But you choose war, you choose madness, you choose going outside and call me out. And it was like, this is not about you. This is literally about me. This is how I heal. This is how about I find lifting up other people who don't feel comfortable in their own skin all the time. And believe me, I know a lot about that because I grew up in a Latin community where everybody is like have a different skin color than me. My sisters don't look like me. I look more like my mother, who is very white. I don't look like my father, who is a little more black. And every time it's this conversation that with names and everything about how pale white I look, especially in the American community. Oh, so you are Venezuelan. You should be like a little more brown. And I'm like, no, because our grandmas and many of our mothers in our places were raped for the Europeans, and that's the reason why we look white. I'm sorry that I don't fit in your standard stereotype of Latin American people, but it's not. And I grew up with that. I grew up in super hairy. I grew up in super tall. I grew up with all of these kind of things. And people is all the time like, you are so hairy, you are so tall, you are so white, you are so blah, 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 blah. And then like, you should be more fit. I don't want to be fit. I want to be bigger. I want to be a bear. I want to hug people and make people feel overwhelmed and feel hot, like, oh, you are warming too much my skin. And I'm like, yes, I know. I am like a microwave. I want that. I want to be bigger. Just that. I don't want to be fit for you. And I mean, you have, I mean, I don't want to say that because it's very privately, but the thing I want to say it, you will enjoy much more making love with somebody who is into you and into make you feel good than to see themselves in the mirror in the room. And I am the kind of person who, whether it's with my husband or with my boyfriend or with my friend with benefits, I'm always taking care of how the person feels with me. Every second matters. And that's one of the things that I benefit of being how I am. And when this person comes to me saying you are toxic, you are negative, you are using pop psychology to dismiss the experience of people who are depressed and suffering with mental illness, yada yada yada, I was feeling for one side like, wow, I am such a bad person. And at the same time I was feeling like, no, I'm just putting out something about my personal truth. Why you are thinking this in the wrong way without asking me first? Maybe I made a mistake, maybe he made a mistake, but no, it was a mutual understanding because the person never take the time to call me in. The person just called me out publicly immediately, and they was like, okay, you are trying to have war with me. I really don't have time for war. I'm just gonna block you. I'm gonna try to talk with you. If you don't want to talk with me, I'm gonna block you immediately in the act, because people now are using the term pop psychology to dismiss every experience that you have. And another experience that we have in this community, for which I'm making this video, which is the third reason, right? Drama, pop psychology, and racism. One of the experience that I have been, I don't like to use the word suffer, but struggling. I think I think that feels more in skin. One of the things with which I have been struggling is the level of racism in this community. And here comes back the speech. But you are too white to talk about racism. Yes, I am too white. Fact, why people invite me to events, because they don't want Elohim. They don't want an Elohim giving classes. They want a person who is an immigrant because they are supporting the immigrant. They want a person of color who don't look like a person of color, so they can say that they have a person of color in there. That happens 3 times in the past 8 years. And when I discovered that happening, because I see the conversation, I was feeling like total trash. Like, wow, these people were using me. Nice. So I'm useful for this. Great. Because representation matters. So they invite a person of color who don't look like a person of color. That was, it's when you see all of these events in the pan community and they are like, we are not racist. We are not. We are super cool with people of color. You see, we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 20 presenters in our event, and we have one presenter of color. One. Every year. Sometimes 2 times a year. And you can say that they are racist, because if you say that they are racist, not just their thousands of followers come after you, also they have a person of color. They have a totem in there to represent colorful people, right? And also, you can say they are racist because if you just call them out and say they are racist, the person of color who is presenting will say, no, they are not racist. They invite me. Yes, they invite you because you are talking, but you don't want to admit it because they are paying to you. And that's one very awful thing in this community, is the level of racism that it is, because not because the people is awful, but because the people is too used to being led by white men. So every time that you see all of these events, most of them are made by white men. Not all of them are racist. I'm not trying to say that in all honesty. Some of them they really are, but not all of them. And many times you see people who are like, you are not racist, but you literally organize an event with 20 presenters and you could invite a person of color to the event, or everybody looks white, like too white. Like when you try to watch Once Upon a Time, that TV series was like too hard to watch, was too white. I remember watching the first 6 episodes because it was trending, and it was like, I can take more of this. The one person of color that I have seen is the servant in the background. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. And when you see this kind of behavior, like one of the things that hurt me more was on 2020 or 2019, no, early 2021. A person who was in my life in that moment, a person in who I trust a lot and hurt me like nobody else, this person was trying to find me the foreword for my book Manifestation Magic. I wrote this book about money magic for witches. It's a book focused on witches. It's not for the common person who don't practice magic and want to do money magic, because probably not gonna work. It's some kind of language in there that you need to understand. So I wrote a whole book on money magic, abundance and prosperity for people who struggle with money in the magical community. So I wrote Manifestation Magic for that. Because the publisher assumed that the book will fit very well in the white mainstream, I think. They tried to force me in 3 different conversations to have the forward of somebody that I didn't want. And they were like, you need to have the forward of this person because this person is very popular, is white, sell a lot of books, have a lot of followers, is white. I remember that they used the word white 3 times in the conversation. And I was next to my husband. He was listening to the whole conversation and he was like, what is happening? I don't know. I would like to know. And they remarked that this person is white 3 times. And in a moment I asked, why is so important this person is white? And they say, well, because this book goes more to the mainstream white community. And these were their words, because I have this conversation saved. I have the audio and I have listened to this conversation many times. And it's one precious moment when this person says to me, well, because this person, is white, have a lot of white followers, and a lot of white owners from bookstores, they fit very well with white supremacist ideologies. I'm not saying that they are white supremacists, but they fit very well with those ideologies. And they like this author a lot because they have a lot of things in common about these ideologies. And if you have the foreword of this author, you will have a lot of books sold immediately, because white supremacists, they know each other. And she literally says that, like, she was trying to avoid to say it, but then she says, white supremacists, they know each other. And it was like, what? So you want me to have a forward in my book from a white supremacist? And she said, no, it's not for that. It's because he's white. And a lot of bookstores owners And witch store owners are white, so they wanna fit very well with his ideologies, and they like him for some political, racial reasons that I know that you understand because you are very diplomatic and you know all about this kind of stuff. You are very smart. And she said all of this crap, and I was like, wow, I mean, are you on drugs? Are you really listening to yourself, the things that you're saying to me? And she just continued talking and talking because in some way she have a lot of heavy weight over herself to convince me for the publisher to you need to have this forward in the book. And don't care how much they insist, I say no, I continue to say no. They call me for a second time, they send me an email and I continue to say no. No, she didn't send me an email about that. She called me for third time. The email was another conversation. And when this happened for third time, I say no. And if the book comes out with that forward, I just want to let you know I'm gonna sue the company for this. And that was the end of the conversation, and the book come out without any forward because I was like, why we can't have the forward of a person of color? Why can't be a woman? Why can't be a person of color? Why can't be someone from New Orleans or from Salem or from New Jersey, but someone of color, whatever you want, but find me somebody of color who understands the language of the book. Someone with a little bit more of practice than me, because if it's the forward of the book, I mean the introduction, I expect that it's somebody who have a little more of practice than me. And I'm not gonna be arrogant on this, but I have years of practice, and I would really like to have somebody with a bit more of experience giving me the forward. Not somebody who is just trending now because he's white, because he's with a group of popular people and they are all cool people and they have a cool podcast and they are the cool guys and everybody need to be with the cool guys. So just because they are cool, so because it's this ideology that they are cool. No, I don't want that. That was the end of the conversation, and that hits me in so many ways, and that's the reason why I turn more investigative about the racism in this community, and I start seeing all of these signs like, do you know that this event has 9 presenters and anybody of them is white? Do you know that this another event happening the next month have 13 presenters and the one person of color is very white skin, and they are saying they are pro-diversity literally in the caption, but the one person they have is a person from New Jersey who born here in the United States. She looks white. All of the others are North American practitioners with European ascendance. So it's like, but you are saying that this is for the whole community. I mean, if you make an event for a group of people and you just want to represent that group of people, that's okay. But if you say that it's for the whole community and diversity, but the presenters don't look like that, feels odd. And this is the same thing with the podcast. Most of the podcasts, and I love a lot of podcasts, but most of the podcasts in the witch community are hosted by white men. That's why we have the joke that if you have podcasts, you are officially a white man in America. Anyway, this does not mean that they are grown podcasts. They are very good podcasts out there. I need to admit, very good ones, and just few from people of color. But the most popular ones are from white hosts, and these white hosts just invite white people, and they invite a person of color, one person of color, every season, so they continue having like, we are not racist, we have people of color. The people who follow them see these kind of patterns, and because they are white too, they don't understand like, oh yeah, you are not racist, you invite one person of color, you are so cool, you are totally not racist, you are in pro-diversity, so great, we are doing the job. And you are not giving a platform to people of color, you are just using people of color as your platform so you can stand a little higher with your flag, continue saying, hey, I am cool here. And that is what continues happening. One of the things which I don't want to say struggle this time, because I'm very happy for that. One of the things that, because I talk so much about racism, is that many podcasters don't want me in their shows because I don't go according with their ideologies. So many people ask me over and over, why you are not in this podcast? They are inviting everybody for this podcast. Why you are not in there? they don't invite me for some reason, and I'm not really invested on that. If they invite me, I will say no, because I don't want to be going around just justifying racism in that way. If I know the podcast have 200,000 followers, but they are racist, I'm not gonna present in there. I don't care how big is the opportunity, how big is the chance, because I'm grateful of the fact that I was so consistent in my career. That I end my college, I have my title, I work on that, I have other two jobs, I have my house, I have other priorities. So I don't need to prioritize selling books and presenting horrible podcasts for horrible people, for very nonsense listeners who really don't know what they are doing or supporting. And that's one of the worst things in this community. The level of institutionalized racism that we have, and everybody just like they see it, they ignore it because it's not their thing, because this don't affect to them. And everybody's like, we are so pro-democracy, pro-diversity, pro-people of color, but we just listen podcasts of white people. We just watch TikToks from white people. We just watch YouTube from white people. I remember past year 2023 around August or October, or was in 2022, was this online conference conversation on YouTube. These four people talking about the importance of diversity and racial equality in the witch community, and the four presenters were white. One of them was white European. I was like, I think that is something wrong in this whole conversation. Then I see the comments in the whole conversation. I just read like 20 or 21 comments, and it was like, all of this is white people. And they are all talking about, because I do my work. I go in every profile one by one, reading their names, watching their profile. They have another social media. This is their Facebook. Let me see their Facebook. I was talking with my friend who was visiting me in that moment in the house. We were in the computer, very absurdly lacking, mocking and laughing and drinking stuff. And we're like, you can imagine this, all of these people so proud of themselves. We are so great because we are doing the work. We are such a nice people. We are doing all of this pro-diversity. And the comments were like, oh my, the comments were delicious. That's why I support you so much, because all of you are so in pro-diversity. You are such a nice, cool people. You are making spaces for everybody. And it was like, everybody in the comments is white American people, and the host of the show are white American people, and the presenters with her are white American people and white, very European people. The whole discussion is in English. Nobody else talks a second language except an European language. So feels a bit odd talking about diversity and pro-equality and about racial justice in the witch community where everybody in the conversation is white. Like, wow, this is so literally nonsense and totally useless. And it's such a big lie, and people below to that, like, we are so great because you are doing this, you are giving support to the black communities. Nobody black is commenting, nobody black is liking the post, nobody black is hosting the show. Who you're talking about? The black clothes that they bought on Amazon and Etsy? I don't know. That's the thing with racism in this community, that is, in this witchy community, the racism is so institutionalized. It's so everything about white leadership, about how you need to look, how everything is about perception. And if they say to you, we are doing the work in pro community, they are not many times, but you believe it because you spend money in their books, you spend time listening their podcast, so you really want to believe their lies, because you are making a whole idolatry about these personalities on the internet. These people make 1 million followers on YouTube doing videos that just represent their side of the white community, and you, many times a black person, not always, but many other people who follow me are people of color. You, a black person, see this and you think that they are talking about you and your struggles, and no, they don't have the same struggles than you. Very sure of that. Because I am very new here in the United States, just 8 years, almost 9, and I have seen a lot of racism here, and I know level of struggles are not the same. I never say that the white people don't have struggles, but their struggle, they don't have struggles related with how they look, how they sound, from where they come from. That is totally out of the conversation. It's a cave of a struggle that they don't understand. I always say this, and I really say it with all honesty, without trying to dismiss any experience, without trying to hurt anybody, without trying to be a bad person. But I always say, if you learn about racism from a book in your high school, and not from experience, not because your father sitting down with you to telling you about how you look and will always be treated different to other people, you are not understanding racism. Don't care how much you try, you are not understanding racism. And it's a very bad, serious, awful thing. And it's one of the reasons why I just leave the whole community thing like podcast. Let me check who are the listeners of the podcast and who is the host. Events, totally no. Presenting on this place or this place, let me check. Going to a bookstore to sign books, let me see who is the host, who is the owner, who is the kind of people who goes there. If I find that is a comfort place for me and for other people, immigrants, people of color, women, trans people, and white people who are open-minded, I'll go there. If not, I'm sorry, my approval is not important for thousands of people, but it's important for me, and I don't wanna endorse this kind of racist, institutionalized behavior that have so many years literally hurting the country, the society, and the world. So this was the whole tip for today. I'm gonna prepare for job now. Bye. Stay well, stay fine, stay kind, take care of yourself all the time. And remember what people say about you all the time. It's more about themselves and their perception than about you. Stay well.